Wondering what life is really like on Canada's wild and crazy West Coast? This podcast is all about the people, the places, and Vancouver Island Time. Together, we'll explore this island paradise, a combination of ocean, city, and country living. We'll meet the fabulous locals, such as the Fudge Fairy and the Chicken Lady, who have chosen Victoria and Vancouver Island as their home. And we'll learn what makes this place unique and special to those who live here. And now, your host of Vancouver Island Time, Jane Johnston.
Hi everybody, it's Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Wilson and host of Vancouver Island Time. Today I'm here with Lindsay Gilmour, and the name of your company?
LG Kitchen Designs.
So we're in the Saanich area of Central Saanich. We are just north of the city, about 20 minutes, and we're halfway between downtown Victoria and Sydney and the airport. This is a very rural area. You live in an exceptional environment. Why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, it's very rural, but I still find that you have access to a lot of activities, outdoor sports. I mean, if you love the ocean, it's kind of the place to be. We've got lots of access to wineries, restaurants in the neighborhood. So you're not really giving up the city life to move out here. There's bus stops everywhere. So if you feel like going out, downtown and having dinner at a fancy restaurant, but you don't want to drive, you can hop on a bus and it'll take you right there.
Is it one bus?
There's a couple of buses. So we've got the 72 and the 75, and basically it's almost direct access to downtown, about 20 minutes. It's like as fast as driving, really.
So this is a predominantly rural area. Are you finding that there are lots of stands and stuff in this area? Do you buy your fruits and vegetables from there?
Big time, yeah. We've got Silver Rail just around the corner. They actually grow their corn in our backyard. We've got Dan's Farmers Market. We've got the Saanich Fairgrounds up the road. There's Sun Trio Farms. I mean, everywhere you go, you can stop at a little market on the way home and pick up all your fresh produce and local produce for the day. Half the time, too, they're leaving little boxes. Nobody's even working in this store. You just put your money in a box and pay. They hope that you pay, I guess, and you go off. But yeah, you can get out of here spending very little money, but having a lot of healthy living and lifestyle, yeah.
Do they say they're organic or anything?
Not all of them. You have to search a little bit for the organic, but half the time you're going to find some organic, some not. Mitchell's Farm is down around the corner. They don't have all organic produce, but you just have to search a little bit. But then you've got all your grocery stores too. So there's the co-op, there's Thrifties if you really need to find those, produce items that you can't find organic locally. But the pesticide use is not as heavy as people would expect. And if you're buying the right product, then you don't really have to worry about it.
Mitchell's is a great place actually to buy your pumpkins for Halloween. Just a tip for you.
Yeah, and right now they've got strawberries. They've got pretty soon the kiwis, I think, are going to be coming out if they already haven't. I mean, there's a kiwi farm up the road. It's crazy. It's fantastic out here.
So actually, just beside Mitchell's is their little store that they have where you can go for lunch on the Lochside Trail. Have you been there?
Yes, we have been a couple of times. I am, for the life of me, trying to remember the name of it right now, but it's fantastic. And they do supply a lot of organic options for lunches and stuff there. And everything's made fresh in front of you.
Yeah, I actually was unaware of it until I just drove by and I had lunch. It was fabulous. And I was amazed how many people are riding their bike from downtown Victoria to Sydney and stopping there for lunch.
Yeah, it can be quite busy there. We've seen upwards of, 30 people lined up for a sandwich and some fresh chips.
Yummy.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. And then you can just cruise right by, go down to the ocean and check out the, white sandy beaches at Island View Beach.
What other beaches do you like around here?
Oh, I don't know if I want to give those away. They're amazing. There is the Ardmore, by the Ardmore Golf Course. There's Coles Bay. You can actually swim in the waters down there, which is pretty amazing. Where else is there? There's Todd Inlet. You can go down to Mackenzie Bight, which is amazing. Or you can hike up a mountain and see the panoramic views of the area, which is absolutely gorgeous. So definitely the spot for people that are athletic and love outdoor experiences.
Do you find you do need a car, though, being out here?
I use a car because of the type of work that I do for commuting, but my husband rides his bike to work to Phillips almost every second day, and it's about 25 kilometers there and 25 back, but he loves it. We've got the Lochside Trail with really easy access, so he can hop on his bike and get to work in 40 minutes, which is kind of cool.
Cool. So have you lived elsewhere in the city?
Yes, we've lived downtown Victoria. We've lived in the Filmer area, so Maplewood area, which we absolutely loved. We came upon this property. It was basically on a whim. We saw it and they invited us out to look the next night and we fell in love. So we've kind of never looked back. But yeah, we've lived in some fabulous places in Victoria for sure.
I'm a downtown girl myself, so grew up in downtown Toronto, and then when I came here, lived in at Pearson College, and then I live 10 kilometers from there between Pearson and downtown, and I love living on an acreage because it's so quiet. Do you find that here?
It is desperately quiet here. I just had some friends move from Quadra Street, and it took them about a week to get used to falling asleep to pure silence. Now they love it.
So we're quite close by to some restaurants around here. Do you want to tell me about them?
Yeah, so there is Tonelli's up the road at East Saanich and Island View. They're fabulous. They do breakfast in the morning. They've got wonderful baked French goods. You can go in for a fabulous coffee. Zanzibar is just up the road there. They do wonderful breakfast, lunches. They do dinners on Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays down there. So if you really feel like you want to have that bistro experience out in the middle of, rural Victoria area, you can go and have wine and martinis and appetizers. There's the Roost up the road. They've just done a wonderful renovation on, and you can go take the whole family there. There's some beautiful, again, sort of that French bistro cuisine with a real farm flair. You can see chickens walking around in the backyard, which is kind of cool, and they make their own pizzas and stuff down there. Lots of little diners in the area for breakfast people. So if you like to go and have breakfast and not sit and wait in a line for 30 minutes, you can go in and have your beautiful second, third cup of coffee and feel like you're ready for the day and go and start gardening,
Do you favorite place overall for you? A sense that breakfast is a big meal for you.
Yeah, we love breakfast. I love Zanzibar. I find I like to follow places that deal locally and have farm fresh this and that. So price point is always a big thing for us too. But as long as I have access to, like a morning cocktail, afternoon cocktail, evening cocktail, I'm happy.
Did you grow up in Victoria?
I didn't. I'm from Saskatchewan, actually. I'm from a very, very small town in Saskatchewan, and I always thought I would be this big city girl. But as soon as I moved to a larger city, I felt the need to be out here, and it really connects me to my roots.
How did you choose Victoria? Because a lot of people who are going to be watching this are looking at moving to Victoria.
Yeah, absolutely. I chose Victoria basically because of the schooling. I took the course at Camosun College to do my culinary training there, and I completed that. I never looked back after leaving Saskatchewan. I mean, you don't really miss the winter times there and the weather, but it was just such a beautiful place. I remember arriving from the airport and driving into town and just thinking, this is it. Like, this is where I'm going to spend the rest of my life, I think. I just love it out here. I love that you can drive, 5 minutes in either direction and you're just sitting on a beach.
Yeah, and what surprised me too is when I came off the airplane was how great, like every time I come off, how great the air smells.
Oh, the quality of life and air and living out here is just so much different than any other province I've been in. You do really miss it when I have to go back to Saskatchewan to visit my wonderful friends who I love very much. You definitely notice a difference getting off the airplane. And when you come back, it's almost like it envelops you. You just get a big hug from Victoria when you come in.
What do you think about the size of the trees out here?
They're pretty big compared to what I'm used to. Yeah, absolutely. There's very few trees in Saskatchewan. But yeah, it was pretty amazing to go walk around downtown on Moss Street, I think it is. There's that big Sitka tree that takes 3 people to wrap their arms around. But that was pretty amazing to see. It was just totally different than what I'm used to.
Yeah, there are a few big trees around the city that have history. Actually, I think the seeds were given from California. So they're kind of iconic. There's one on Selkirk Waterway, which is just south of the gorge. There's one in Fernwood, and actually I have a client who just got one, and he's going to be planting. It's about 2 months old. It's already about 2 feet. So just huge iconic trees. It's kind of amazing, don't you think?
People love it out here. You know, you drive past one yard and it's all conifers, and then you drive past another yard and somebody's got palm trees. Like, it just blows my mind. The monkey puzzle trees are amazing. I've never seen one in real life. I didn't even know that they exist until I moved out here. But yeah, the foliage and the surrounding. I mean, you, like I said, you go back to Saskatchewan and it's almost like, well, I don't want to say despairing because of how many people might be watching this. It's very fabulous, but it is a lot different. Yeah, the greenery is just something that you really get used to and you don't want to leave.
How did you, when did you move here? What year?
Oh, man, now this is going to age me. So it must have been, I've been here, it'll be 17 years coming up. So I think I'm a local now. Like, I actually think I'm a Victoria local. But I was very young when I moved out here, and yeah, I was very, very young. I was a very young teenager when I moved out here. No. But yeah, it was a totally different lifestyle change. Absolutely.
Did you find it hard to integrate with people?
I did at first. There was a lot of going out by myself to make new friends, and that's sort of how I've created the friends that I've made out here, going out and doing business networking, that kind of stuff, just to get to know people. And you really do have to, when you leave a community when you're young, you have to kind of have that gregarious personality in order to make new friends, because everybody has their cliques and they have their people that they've hung out with for so many years. So integration was not as easy as I'd hoped, but I loved the challenge that came with it. And I made some really, really tight friends after years of, you know, just going out and sitting at a restaurant by myself and going up to people and asking what they're doing and what they're up to, you know?
I do know. I felt like when I moved here, like I would be in a place and I'd think, oh, you know, if I were in Toronto, I would know somebody here because we're a type of place that I would be hanging out, like the pool or the rec center or a pub or something. And then when I moved here, I thought I did feel a bit lonely, but I did find if you integrate yourself in activities, like if you are into meetups or if you are outgoing, people are really friendly. You just have to find the connection.
Absolutely. Yeah. Once you get past that whole, everybody makes friends in high school, you know, and everybody makes friends in their community, and then you move and then all of a sudden you've left all those people behind. But at the same time too, like you say, you integrate through activities. I mean, I can't even go out to the grocery store now without being stopped by 5 or 6 people. You know, you're talking to the cashier in line or you're talking to somebody in produce because they recognize you. But I think that's why I like this area so much, is because you've got people with their arms out the window waving at you as you're driving past, because it becomes a very close community very quickly.
What about entertainment? What do you do for entertainment?
Oh, I have a lot of hobbies. My husband has a lot of hobbies too. For entertainment around these parts, our favorite thing to do when people come to visit is to get a bunch of bikes together and do the local wine tasting tour, which is quite fabulous. There's actually a mini golf course right up the way, so we can go to, you know, Church and State, you can go to Divine, you can go to Symphony, you can go to the Seasider, you can go up to Category 12 and make a real good day out of it. There's always going to be a spot that you can sit and have lunch as well, and then we come back and drop off the bikes, hop on the bus, go for a swim at Elk Lake, which is, you know, again, another 5-minute bus drive away. Or if somebody has stayed sober, they can drive us down there. We jump in the lake and come home.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, there's obviously a lot of alcohol talk here. It's not all that we do out here, but it's kind of relaxing. It's so relaxing out here that, you know, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock hits and you sit with the neighbors and have a cocktail and everybody talks about their day and we have a bonfire, and then potentially it just turns into a potluck or a barbecue, something like that. It's a lot of fun.
So one of the things that surprised me when I moved here was how dry the summers were. Do you find that?
Yeah. Actually, we're pretty lucky this year. Usually everything's yellow right around now. Yellow is this color for our season out here. Our green time comes basically, spring and winter time, but it's been pretty green. I mean, outside's beautiful right now.
Yeah, I found, I was describing to my sister who's in Peterborough, Ontario, that we cut our grass in the winter and right now everything stops growing, right?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. And you see people cutting their grass and with all of their efforts trying to water their lawns right now, but you say give up because it's just going to be yellow. You know, you can see the croquet balls and the bocce balls better that way, right?
I found my husband last year. He picked a patch of grass that he was trying to grow, and I'm like, oh my God. So I looked at the cost of the water. It's just not worth it because in the end, it just goes yellow anyway. So I agree.
Exactly. Just save the water right now. Stop washing your vehicles. Nobody cares. Stop watering the yards. Everybody knows, you know.
What about in terms of places to eat downtown? Where do you go?
Oh, well, there's always Brasserie. We love Brasserie. That's an establishment. We haven't been downtown for a lot of the new places. Victoria has such huge changeover with new fun restaurants, but we always love the ethnic food. You know, we love going for some pho or pho, I guess, as us Canadian people call it. We love Korean barbecue downtown. It's basically trying to keep up with all the restaurants in downtown Victoria will make you go crazy. But we will go into town and we'll have anniversary dinners down there. And I mean, Brasserie is always our favorite place to go.
So that's Brasserie Le Col, and it's on Douglas Avenue. Have you been to the new Boom and Batten?
I haven't.
It's right on the harbor. It's right with the marina. Very high end, very nice.
Ooh, well, we'll have to save up and go.
Yeah, we kind of stumbled upon it the other day. It was a lot of fun. So we're going to come back. We're going to talk about what you do for a living and how you got into it and how your business works as an entrepreneur here in Victoria. We have a lot of entrepreneurs, so stay tuned and we'll be back after this message. Take care.
Vancouver Island Time is brought to you by the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun, Victoria, where we bring local expertise and global presence to your property.
And we're back. It's Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun and host of Vancouver Island Time. And I'm with
Lindsay Gilmour.
And we're going to be talking about your business, which is
Lindsay Gilmour Kitchen Designs.
So, I mean, I'm getting the impression from our chat that you are a foodie. So how did you get into food, first of all? And then did that lead into kitchens or vice versa?
Yeah, basically. So I grew up in a large family. My mom, bless her heart, thought she loved to cook. So we grew up eating all of her, experimental food and whatnot. I did have a grandmother that was a big hostess, and she's, the Ukrainian grandmother that taught you how to make pierogies and dough from scratch. And then I also had a grandmother who was English that had this horrible habit of mixing the sugar and the salt. I was really drawn to food when I saw what you could do with it, and I pursued a career in Victoria, basically following the culinary dream that I had at the time. When I was in the cooking industry, I realized very quickly that kitchens were sort of the last thing on people's minds when it came to restaurants. So basically, I felt that I was getting into the design industry with this love for maybe industrial kitchens or restaurants, that sort of thing. And eventually I just found my way into residential kitchens, and I love working with the homeowners. I love working with people that like to do it yourself. And I love working with basically just the residential industry has really been my passion since I finished my design schooling at Pacific Design Academy.
And so how long have you been a kitchen designer?
It's been 10 years I've been in this industry now.
So who's your ideal client?
My ideal client is somebody that really wants to get the best out of their money, I could say, for a renovation. I always say to people, one person's $120,000 budget is another person's $15,000 budget. So I like people that are ready to be flexible with their ideas and are ready to hear something that, could be new to them, that could happen in their space. I love difficult clients. I love easy clients. I just find every part of it a challenge, and it just helps me become a better person at what I do, I guess.
Do you find, does the kitchen design differ depending on what the person's wanting to focus on in terms of their culinary choices? So let's say you have somebody who's, say, Asian, who's been cooking with a lot of oil. Would you suggest kind of a separate side kitchen so they can just cook that stuff in there and have it venting directly outside? What do you suggest?
Yeah, that is a great question. I find because kitchens are less triangle workspace, now work zones, you can really dive into personal habits in a kitchen, I guess you could say. I've got clients that really love to garden and pickle everything and bring it into the house and clean up. So you'll have a different cleaning station than say you would for a family that likes to do pre-prepared meals. You know, maybe mom and dad are so busy, they don't have the option to go and harvest all the beets and the tomatoes from the garden. So they'll have a different arrangement than say somebody that is a farmer or somebody that does have the idea that they are working with fresh meats and fish. Like I'll have a fisherman that has a completely different kitchen than say, you know, the single mom who is really just trying to get home and make her son or daughter the perfect meal so everybody can have that sit down family time.
Right. And is it a question of efficiency then?
Absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of people, when they ask me my career background, some people go, well, that's fantastic. You must know how a kitchen works really well. And some people say, well, that's completely different, a chef and a kitchen designer. And I always think, no, they go hand in hand. I find that when I'm in a kitchen, by the time I'm done a meal, the kitchen's already cleaned up because of that ease of organization and flow and just how I've organized my own kitchen here to make things easier on my husband and I when we make dinners.
Do you find more couples now are starting to make dinners together?
I hope so. I think that they should. It's like the saying is when two people work out together, they stay together. I think when two people are in a kitchen together, there's a lot of love and there's a lot of excitement that goes into food. And I really wish that we could bring more excitement into kitchens. I really want people to realize that health has a lot to do with how you eat, how you live, how you organize yourself, and that clean food going into your body is just going to make people live a healthier, happier life, I feel. So part of what I do with my clients, if they want to at the end of it, is that I do a cooking course with them. I'll go into their house and I'll say, well, let's prepare your favorite meal together. And we'll work in their brand new kitchen together I had a client that loved duck confit and I taught her how to make duck confit in her kitchen.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. It's offering up that solution so that they can see how to use their kitchen and why we did things a certain way, because there's a lot of planning that goes into kitchens. And basically, because I've done 10 years experience in this industry, I have a really good handle on what works, what doesn't work, why we need to have things a certain way. Planning a kitchen isn't just popping boxes in. There's a combination of form, function, math, code, space planning, vignettes. There's so much that goes into it that it's something that I find people want to spend a bit more time consulting through and just making sure their money and their hard-earned investments are going to the right places.
Yeah, I really feel that kitchens are the heart of the home. So when my husband and I were looking for a home, one of the criteria was that it had to be have a finished kitchen. And so my vision was sitting around the island watching my husband cook.
Yeah. Yours and many people. Yeah, we're Canadians. This is where we end up. You go to any house party, nobody's sitting in the living room, everybody's in the kitchen.
Yeah, all of our parties are totally around. We have a huge island and everything's around. Like it's the ideal kitchen for us. And we have 2 living rooms and everybody just shoves right into the kitchen. It's funny.
Yeah. They go as close to the kitchen as possible. And like you say, it's because it's a loving place. It's the heart of the home. I totally agree with you.
So breakfast bars and the use of islands, that's been a trend that's come out sort of in the past, I'd say 15 years. Are you finding that's going to be a trend that continues?
Yes, absolutely. So I try and work with real estate agents in the sense that people always want to know what they want to design for themselves, but they want to know what's going to sell their house in a couple of years. So something timeless. So basically, when we talk timeless, I hear things like islands with working spaces. So instead of breaking up an island now by putting a sink or a cooktop in there, they're just doing big open countertop spaces, so it's uninterrupted counter space. So I feel that that's a big one moving forward for timeless designs, and it's just, combining your favorite things, putting it in there and making sure it doesn't look like, a tornado of chicken hen backsplash with corbels and over the top decorative items. People are going more streamlined now. People are getting away from the whites, which I find, and going more towards colors. It's really about trusting your gut instinct, I feel, and then just honing in on that, having a designer come in and say, this is what you love. Let's take all these little pieces, edit to something that's going to be timeless. And you don't want to create a kitchen for who you're going to sell it to in 10 years, but that does come into play. I mean, obviously, if people have the intentions of moving or upgrading or downsizing, they really need to think about those things. But at the end of the day, I find the trend is going towards definitely the islands, definitely creating that work center and those zones, really having those zones with interior organizing for recycling, garbage, composting, all that kind of fun stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. I love it. I love our kitchen. Like we spend all the time in our kitchen.
Yeah, us too. Absolutely. My husband told me I kicked him out of the kitchen one too many times. And now he's asked that I train him in the kitchen rather than tell him he's doing everything wrong. So that's how we've built our relationship in the kitchen. And it's, if he cooks, I clean, or vice versa, that sort of thing. But yeah, it usually ends up I'm sitting there having a glass of wine, watching him try and make a new stir fry, or he's on his computer doing some, work and watching me cook. And we sit down at our table every night and have a nice dinner together. And yeah, it's the heart of the home. I'll repeat it. It's the heart of the home.
So Backsplash Designs, I've seen we've gone from subway tile now to like hexagonal and all of that sort of stuff. To me, I get it, but it kind of dates the kitchen a bit. Do you find that?
Yeah, they're saying now things like the chevron pattern are going to date your kitchen, all that kind of stuff. There are ways of implementing a pattern if you really like it. But again, I think it's working with a professional that sees this kind of stuff, sees the installation in so many different ways that we have a good sense of what looks great and what's going to look good in 10 years from now. But yeah, I love the busy backsplash. Like I'm not afraid of color. Color's afraid of me. I love putting color in. I love putting bursts of excitement. The white on white on white, again, is sort of exiting the design trend. But you are right. You walk into a kitchen where somebody has maybe done a herringbone pattern everywhere and you get dizzy, and that causes visual chaos, and you just don't want that in your home. You want to come in and feel relaxed and soothed. And you also don't want to go out and spend, thousands of dollars on flooring or tile or finishes to find out that it just makes you nauseous when you're looking at it. Pulling it together is sort of where it's at. And again, that editing is such a big part of design with those final touches.
So I found, like, since I got into real estate 14 years ago now, I went from it was browns and taupes to now grays. What do you think is going to be the next color?
Well, the next color is color right now. When I started in the industry, yes, it was very brown. It was brown wood or the cherry cabinets with the black countertops and the tile floors. I was ripping out high gloss kitchens. I'm putting in high gloss kitchens right now. We're ripping out cherry cabinets. People are going back to granite, so more natural stones. So, you've got Vancouver Island marble, you've got granites. I am finding right now that the color of the year is color again. It's the Petone color of the year is a coral color. People are going with the blues, the forest greens are coming back, the pastels are coming back, and it doesn't have to make anybody scared to hear the word pastel. You could use it in little accent pieces, use it in a tile, use it in, maybe it's just the linen that you use to finish off your look at the end of the day. But yeah, definitely injecting some color into people's lives.
Do you believe in the feng shui of a kitchen?
I've actually done a couple feng shui kitchens. So yes, I do. And I feel that the energy in those spaces after the clients have finally put their finishing touches, like their red teapot kettle or maybe the turquoise backsplash. Yeah, there's an energy in the kitchen that you just can't put your finger on what it is. And it's because of the feng shui application, I think.
So what elements do people, if they want to feng shui a kitchen, what elements should they think about? Like placement of the sink?
It has a lot to do with your work zones. Definitely. It has a lot to do with color. I think it's called the Braga board, which is big in feng shui. It has a lot to do with the architectural details. So starting out with an architect or somebody that if you are building, say, a new home or you're renovating, there's little things that can be done like window placements or door placements to, as they call, allow the dragon to move through the energy or the chi to move through the house. And I do have to say, yeah, going into new builds where they have built basically based on a feng shui atmosphere, it's a lot different than walking into a new build that hasn't taken those little bits of space planning acknowledgements and applied it to the build. A lot different. The energy is just cleaner and crisp, and it's zen. It's very zen feeling, and you don't know what it is. You don't know if it's that red teapot again or if it's the turquoise backsplash, but Yeah, very minimal, everything away, nothing seen. Has a lot to do with that minimalistic approach that people are really liking.
Yeah, I found like I had a friend who's very into feng shui who came to my house, and she feng shuied my house while I was away.
Nice.
It was nice, but she was saying it was naturally feng shui, just the flow of the house, where the door was, and the kitchen and everything, and the placement of the furniture and stuff like that. In terms, if somebody feng shui their kitchen, if it wasn't initially designed that way?
Yeah. So there's little applications such as color in your tile. Just the combination of colors is a big thing with the feng shui at that point, and placement of appliances. If you have the ability to move fixtures around, you don't have to spend a lot of money to get that look and that feel. If you don't want to, infrastructure doesn't need to change by any means. It's just basically figuring out what part of feng shui you are drawn to, because there'll be certain colors that create energy in you when you walk into the room in the morning for your cup of coffee, or maybe you don't need coffee because, again, you've got the perfect feng shui colors happening.
So I noticed in your own kitchen you chose wood as a countertop. I really personally like it. What's your favorite material to work with for countertops?
I love the wood countertops. I think they're gorgeous, and I think that they patina well, and you can sand them out if there's ever an issue. Quartz is such a big one right now. Quartz is a fabulous product that has come, it has just done so well in the industry. Originally when Quartz came out, it wasn't the greatest product. Everybody thought it was bulletproof. It didn't stain. There was no issues. We had a lot of quartz coming from different countries that weren't 100%, so people were getting crumbling with the quartz. But because quartz was first released, the recipe was not available for most companies to be able to remake the product. So people were making knockoff brands of quartz. Now the recipe has been released, which means everybody's making the same durable quartz, and you can get quartz that looks like granite. You can get quartz that look like marble. It's still such a high percentage natural stone in it, so you still get that real stone look. But there's so much to choose from, and the palette is, it's never ending. You can go and look at 1,000 different samples and still not find the right one for you, which is kind of neat. With granite and marble, it's more of a what you see is what you get. With the countertops being wood, you can kind of, that you're getting maybe a walnut look or a oak look, but with the quartz, you can really go from very white to a very, very black, or to even a lime green if you wanted to.
Yeah, I like it too. I think it finishes it off really well too. The countertops ties the whole kitchen together.
Yeah, absolutely. And the look right now, and something I've been doing for years, basically to help my clients save money, but it's becoming more of a look, is a thinner quartz. People are doing thinner material on the countertops. It doesn't do anything to the durability. It just looks so sharp and so streamlined, and it's got that real contemporary edge to it.
Yeah, and it means you can get your stove in more easily.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so we've come to the end of our very informative interview. How do people get in touch with you?
You can either call me at 250-884-7922. My website is www.lgkitchendesign.com, or you can email me at lgkitchendesigns@gmail.com.
Perfect. Okay, so if you want more information, you can contact her. If you want to know more about the Central Saanich area, Saanichton area, contact me. I'm Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Mosin and host of Vancouver Island. Welcome to the neighborhood.
Welcome to the neighborhood. We hope you have had some insight into West Coast living. If you know of someone or someplace that should be highlighted in our podcast, we'd love to hear from you. Please go to VancouverIslandTime.com and click on our Connect button. See you next week on Vancouver Island Time with Jane Johnston.